Don't forget to subscribe to my channel before we begin. My name is Andrea Johnson. I'm 28 years old. And if you had asked me just 2 years back, I would have sworn I had found the man I'd spend forever with. I was never the woman people noticed when I walked into a room. I wasn't the loudest or the flashiest. I was steady, reliable, the one who remembered birthdays, showed up on time, kept promises. I wasn't unpredictable or bold. I was safe. And for a while, I believed safe was enough. Then Adrian came along. From the start, he felt larger than life. That effortless grin, that magnetic charm that made waiters laugh and strangers lean closer. Next to him, I faded into the background. But he chose me, or at least I thought he did. We met during a trivia night some mutual friends had organized. I handled the history and geography questions. Adrian breezed through pop culture like it was nothing. We laughed until our faces ached. At one point, he leaned across the table and said, "You make smart look fun, Andrea." At the time, I melted. Looking back, maybe that was just his way of labeling me as dependable, safe, predictable. On the surface, our relationship looked picture perfect. Movie nights, dinner dates, weekend drives. He loved bragging about how thoughtful I was, how I'd bring his favorite coffee before his shifts, how I stayed up late helping him prepare for presentations. I gave him stability. He gave me excitement. I told myself that was balance. But the cracks were there. Adrian thrived on attention like he couldn't breathe without it. If someone praised me, he'd smile and joke, "Careful, don't compliment her too much, or she'll forget how to make those awful pancakes." Everyone laughed. I laughed too, convincing myself it was harmless teasing. And I loved him. I paid half his rent when his hours got cut. I turned down a promotion that required relocation because he said long distance would destroy us. I drove him to his sister's games every Saturday because he hated traffic. I gave and gave because I thought it meant we were building something real. But Adrian didn't want love. He wanted admiration. I didn't allow myself to see it until the night everything unraveled. It happened at a party one of our friends hosted. Loud music, too much alcohol, a mix of classmates and coworkers. Adrian came alive at parties, drink in hand, always at the center of a circle. I stayed close, smiling when he pulled me in for a kiss, as though to remind everyone I was his. Then someone asked how we got together. I expected him to tell the trivia story, or maybe say something sweet about the little things I did for him. Instead, he smirked, tilted his head dramatically, and announced for everyone to hear. Honestly, dating Andrea felt like community service. I had to give back somehow, right? The room went silent for a beat. Then came the uneasy chuckles. Adrian pushed further, waving his hand like it was the joke of the night. "No, really, she's just so dependable. It's like adopting a rescue cat. You do it out of kindness." This time, the laughter was real at my expense. Every eye shifted toward me, waiting to see if I'd laugh too, waiting to see if I'd play along with being the punchline. For a moment, I froze. My chest burned with the urge to cut him down with words sharp enough to pierce. But instead of anger, what came was clarity. This was Adrian's truth. Not just the casual digs, not just the flirting he brushed off as harmless. This humiliation masked as humor. That was who he really was. I wasn't his partner. I was his project. So I didn't fight. I didn't give him the scene he wanted. I simply set down my drink, picked up my coat, and walked out. No slammed doors, no shouting, no tears. Just silence. I heard him calling behind me through the crowd. "Wait, what?" "Babe, it was a joke." I kept walking. "Come on, don't be dramatic. It was funny." But I didn't stop. My heart hammered against my ribs, but my face stayed calm. For the first time in years, I wasn't playing along. By the time I reached my car, my phone was buzzing nonstop with his name flashing on the screen. I ignored it. I drove home to my apartment, sat on the edge of my bed in the dark, and let the silence swallow me. That was the night everything ended. The night I realized silence can wound deeper than words ever could. The next morning, sunlight poured across the floor. My phone screen lit up with dozens of missed calls and messages. I didn't open a single one. At first, his texts were defensive. "Andrea, Seriously, you embarrass me. Everyone knew it was a joke. You could have laughed. God, you're so sensitive. By afternoon, the tone shifted. I love you, okay? Don't throw this away over one stupid comment. Please pick up. By night, the guilt tripping began. Wow, so you're just ghosting me? After everything I've done for you? Unreal. You're lucky I put up with your moods. Anyone else would have left you ages ago. The words lit up my phone like fireworks, sparking and dying before they could touch me. I didn't reply. Instead, I sat in the stillness, noticing how different the air felt without him filling it. At first, the quiet felt suffocating, like being underwater. But slowly I realized it wasn't drowning me. It was cleansing me. 2 days later, a friend from the party texted, "You okay?" That was brutal. Nobody thought it was funny. I stared at the screen for a long time before typing back, "I'm fine." It wasn't true. My chest still ached. My stomach twisted every time I replayed that moment. But when she replied, "You did the right thing," something inside me loosened. For once, I believed it. Adrian's messages kept coming, swinging between defensive, pleading, furious, desperate. One voicemail stood out. His voice cracked as he said, "I can't sleep. I feel like I'm losing my mind, and you don't even care. Just talk to me, please." I closed my eyes as it played. But instead of pity, I felt relief. Because I finally understood. He wasn't sorry for what he had done. He was only sorry for the fallout. He missed my loyalty, my steadiness, my convenience. But he didn't miss me. And that realization clicked something shut inside me. I muted the thread, set my phone face down, and let the silence stretch. Each day that passed, I felt the shift. The grief was still there, but duller, fading. Underneath it was something steadier, resolve. For the first time in years, I wasn't shrinking next to someone else's light. I was beginning to discover my own. I didn't tell anyone what happened. I didn't need to. The party had already done that for me. Word spread quickly. Adrian's community service joke had echoed loud enough for the whole room to hear. And when people repeated it back, it didn't sound like harmless teasing anymore. It sounded cruel. The changes came quietly. Invitations that once had both our names now had only mine. Group chats went silent for him but stayed alive for me. One mutual friend admitted they'd even removed him from a thread because people were tired of his excuses. Meanwhile, my phone finally stopped buzzing. His texts went from dozens a day to just a few. Then none at all. That's when I noticed his online posts suddenly got louder. Selfies at bars, captions like "unbothered." Stronger than ever. Photos with champagne bottles, neon lights. And before long, a new girl at his side, Serena. Flashy, loud, sequin dresses at backyard parties. I didn't stalk them. I didn't have to. The screenshots reached me the same way all gossip eventually does, through friends. In every photo, Adrian stood front and center. Sunglasses indoors, shirt half undone. Serena clutched to his side like a prize he'd just won. His captions made me roll my eyes. Finally, someone who matches my energy. It stung, of course. 2 years of my life, 2 years of sacrifices, boiled down to a single swipe toward something flashier, louder, newer. But instead of breaking me, it brought everything into focus. He hadn't been searching for love. He was searching for an audience. And Serena gave him that, at least for now. While he put on his performance online, I was quietly piecing myself back together offline. I started running again in the mornings, the kind of long runs I'd loved before Adrian filled every weekend with his plans. I cooked proper meals for myself, not just drive-through takeout eaten in the car on the way to pick him up. I stayed late at work because I wanted to, pouring myself into projects instead of abandoning them for his convenience. Each day felt like reclaiming pieces of myself I hadn't realized I'd lost. And while my life steadied, his began to unravel. I heard whispers in passing. Adrian stumbling drunk into dinners, cracking jokes nobody laughed at. One moment bragging about Serena, the next complaining she was too much. That magnetic charm he once carried now rang hollow. The irony wasn't lost on me. For years, I'd been the one propping him up, making him seem stable, dependable, respectable. Without me, the cracks began to show, and soon they'd split wide open. His downfall wasn't just coming, it was already underway. It didn't take long for the sparkle to fade. The same way he had once dazzled me, he dazzled Serena, but only briefly. Rumors drifted back to me, carried on the same gossip that once spread his community service joke. People saw him out at bars, on rooftops, at restaurants, never subtle, laughing too close, touching women who weren't Serena. Someone even swore they saw him kiss another woman outright, as though loyalty had never existed in his vocabulary. When Serena confronted him, she didn't do it in private. From what I heard, she waited until dinner, crowded, loud, under neon lights. She demanded answers, and Adrian, true to form, laughed in her face. "What did you expect?" he said, loud enough for strangers to hear. "You're fun, but you're not the only one." The humiliation I once carried in silence at that party, Serena carried in public. And the symmetry of it struck me like poetry. After that night, his posts changed. The smug selfies, the cocky captions, they were gone. In their place came vague quotes about betrayal, grainy black and white photos of half-empty glasses, endless rambling stories that disappeared within 24 hours. His unbothered act had cracked, and everyone saw through it. The friends who once hung on his jokes now rolled their eyes. Group dinners went on without him. People whispered he was exhausting, that every conversation circled back to him. For the first time in years, Adrian wasn't the star of the room. He was the echo. And I watched from a distance, not gloating, not pitying, just steady, detached. Because I realized I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to prove him wrong. Karma was already doing the work for me. In the quiet of my apartment, I caught myself almost smiling, not out of cruelty, but because life had finally handed him a mirror. And it showed him everything he refused to see. The first message came late at night. "Hey, I was just thinking about you. Hope you're okay." No apology, no acknowledgement, just a fishing line tossed into the dark, hoping I'd bite. I didn't. A week later, drove past that taco place you love. "Remember how you ate like 5 in one sitting?" Nostalgia disguised as small talk, as if one happy memory could erase years of subtle digs and that unforgettable betrayal. Ignored. Then came the calls, always after midnight. At first, I let them ring, but curiosity got the better of me, and I listened to the voicemails. His voice didn't even sound like his anymore. It was thinner, frayed. "I don't understand why you're ignoring me. I know I messed up, but we had something real, right? Please, just call me back. Please." The messages piled on, angry ones. "So that's it? You're throwing away 2 years over one comment? Grow up." Sad ones, "I miss you. Nobody knows me like you do." Manipulative ones, "I can't sleep. My life's falling apart and you don't even care." And finally, desperate ones, "Just one more chance. Please, I'll fix it." I listened in silence, not because I considered going back, but because the contrast was staggering. This was the same man who once owned every room, who wore confidence like a crown. Now he was reduced to whispers in the dark, begging into a phone I refused to answer. The temptation wasn't to forgive him. It was to reply once, just to remind him of the woman he had underestimated. To say, "You don't get to rewrite the ending, Adrian." But I didn't, because the silence already said it louder than words ever could. And while his voice shrank to nothing, my life expanded. The last message he ever sent was short. "No bravado, no games. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I know I can't take it back, but I regret it every day." For a moment, I just stared. A flicker of nostalgia, maybe a reminder of when I believed in him. But the truth settled quickly. He wasn't apologizing for who he was. He was apologizing because he had lost the things that made him feel important. And by then, I had already moved on. My life had grown bigger. I'd been promoted at work into a leadership role I once thought I wasn't ready for. I'd fallen in love again, with my mornings, with my reflection, with the version of myself I had buried under Adrian's shadow. And eventually, yes, with someone new. His name is Tommy. Nothing like Adrian. Where Adrian chased attention, Tommy offers presence. Where Adrian mocked my dreams, Tommy listens, encourages, even challenges me to dream bigger. With him, I'm not a project or a punchline. I'm a partner. The difference is night and day. One evening as we walked home from dinner, Tommy slipped his hand into mine, brushing his thumb gently against my skin. And I realized I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. I wasn't bracing for the next cutting remark. I was safe, not in the way Adrian once sneered at, but in the way every heart deserves to feel respected. Adrian's voice has long since faded from my phone. His presence has vanished from our friends' lives. The man who once made me feel small is now just an echo of a story I no longer carry with shame. Because here's what I learned: the best revenge isn't anger. It isn't proving yourself. It isn't the perfect comeback. It's indifference. It's walking away and building something better. Adrian thought being with me was charity work. But in the end, he taught me the greatest lesson of my life. I was never the project. I was the prize. And the silence I gave him was the loudest truth of all.